17th Maharlika Online Sunrise Festival. November 27, 28, 29, 2020. Hosted by Raymond Bagatsing, Maharlika Ambassador. Maharlika, the pre-colonial name of the Philippines.
Welcome po sa 17th Maharlika Online Sunrise Festival, November 27, 28, 29, 2020. Maharlika, ang orihinal na pangalan ng Pilipinas or pre-colonial name of the Philippines.
We would like to give our sincerest respect to thank and acknowledge the following government agencies, private sectors, and entities who have given their continuous positive support for this event to happen even during the pandemic, and made it possible via digital online broadcast programming. Thank you and God bless us all.
Ay presentation ng Healthy Diet by Dennis Daguman. So, titingnan mo natin kung ano ang healthy diet. The diet that is good for the body, mind, and spirit. Let us welcome Sir Dennis Daguman.
The body, given the right condition and nutrition, can heal by itself. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. Thomas Alva Edison. Many lose their health making money and then lose the money restoring health. 50% of deaths and 70% of chronic diseases are self-inflicted. This is due to lack of self-discipline, toxic food and beverages, tobacco smoking, no exercise, negative thoughts, and emotional imbalance. CNN News, December 21, 2012. According to hospital records and death certificates, from 1972 to 2011, the day with the highest rate of heart attacks is December 25, and the day with the highest rate of deaths is December 26. Supplementation alone is not a guarantee of optimum health. It is a lifestyle overhaul. The wellness system, composed of proper diet, body kinetics, nutritional supplements, and mind synergy. Proper diet. The global trend in diet is plant-based diets. Why shift to plant-based diet? In the olden days of India, people adhered to the principles of ahimsa or non-hurting as part of their spiritual practice. In the modern days, ahimsa has become a primary reason to shift to plant-based diet, which is a very ethical reason. The question now is, can ahimsa be the principal reason to shift to plant-based diet? Ahimsa means non-inflicting pain or hurt to other creatures. But sometimes this word is wrongly interpreted by many. Because if one adheres to it strictly, it is impossible to live not only in a society but also in forests, hills, and caves. By tilling the land, one may cause the death of innumerable insects and creatures. Filtration of water means destroying the insects and other microorganisms that cause impurity. Even the process of breathing involves the death of numberless microbes. It is contrary to the true essence of human beings. It is against the very laws of existence. Those who wanted to enforce the so-called ahimsa influence movement became impractical and impotent by nature. Ahimsa as a primary reason to shift to plant-based diet will create confusion and suppression. The principal reason why we should shift to plant-based diet is the human anatomy is not designed for animal-based diet. This chart shows the comparison between the anatomy of carnivores, omnivores, herbivores, frugivores, and humans. The only difference between humans and the big apes or the frugivores, humans have bigger brains. So the perfect diet for humans, because we need more amino acids, is fruits and nuts. So what's wrong with eating meat? There's nothing wrong with eating meat if you're a tiger. Yes, I'm a vegetarian. Would you like to discuss with me where I get my protein? Always the big question, where do you get the protein? The problem is not how to get enough, it's how not to get too much. Protein is most complex of all food elements. More energy is necessary to digest protein than any other food. It will take 3 days to 15 days to digest meat. Protein is not built in the body by eating protein. Protein is built from the amino acids in food. There are 23 amino acids. 15 can be produced by the body. 8 must be derived from the food we eat. Foods that contains all amino acids: carrots, bananas, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, corn, cucumber, eggplant, kale, okra, peas, potatoes, kamote, squash, tomatoes, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and all nuts. The body recycles 70% of its protein waste. The body loses only 23 grams of protein a day. That's 1/10 of an ounce. You only need 1.5 pounds of protein a month to replenish 1/10 of an ounce. Another reason for eating meat is for strength. What are the strongest animals on the planet? And what do they eat? Another consideration is fiber. Fiber helps avoid constipation and hemorrhoids. Meat has no fiber content. This is the best diet schedule. Eat plenty of fruits in the morning and eat plenty of vegetables in the evening. Nothing will benefit human health and increase chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. Albert Einstein. There will come a time when men such as I will look upon the murder of animals as they look upon the murder of men. Leonardo da Vinci. Here are some famous vegetarians. Different types of plant-based diets. Pure vegetarian, all vegetables and fruits, no eggs, no dairy. Lacto-vegetarian, all vegetables, fruits and dairy, no eggs. Lacto-ovo-vegetarian, all vegetables and fruits, dairy and eggs. Pesco-vegetarian, all vegetables, fruits, eggs, dairy and fish. Sattvic vegetarian, all vegetables and fruits, but no onion, nor garlic, no mushroom. Fruitarian, only fruits, nuts, and some raw vegetables. What is the difference between vegetarian and vegan? Vegan is a word coined by Donald Watson in 1944 as a name for a group of vegetarian animal rights activists. It is not a diet. PETA is another group of vegetarian animal rights activists. Both PETA and vegan groups follow a pure vegetarian diet. No eggs, no dairy. Adult cows don't drink cow's milk, so why do humans? Cow at birth is 90 pounds, after 1 year 1,000 pounds. Humans at birth 6 to 7 pounds, after 15 years 100 pounds. Casein is an element in milk for building bones. Cow's milk has 300 times more casein than human milk. Lactase and renin are enzymes to digest milk, present in the body only up to 3 years of age. God created milk for one reason alone: to feed the young of the species. There are 21 dangers of infant formula. Where do you get the calcium? Calcium in milk is tied up with casein. Casein coagulates in the stomach and form large, tough, dense, difficult to digest curds. The best source of calcium are raw sesame seeds and broccoli. There is a very subtle ingredient missing in synthesized food, that is life force. Everybody wants well-being. If you're standing in front of EDSA and you want to go to Baguio, which road are you going to take? NLEX or SLEX? Everybody wants well-being, but which road are you taking? This road or this road? For every cause, there is an effect. For every effect, there is a cause. Now, if you do not like the effect, it is up to you to change the cause. When money is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. Sri Sri Anandamurti Ji.
Maraming salamat, Sir Dennis, sa napakagandang explanation kung ano yung mga pagkain natin bilang isang vegetarian at sa ating mga kasamahan na vegan. Healthy diet is really the demand of the day kasi connected to sa ating environment, sa ating ekonomiya, maging man sa politika. So, food revolution, a total change how we see or look what is our food. So, ang susunod po natin na magbibigay ng inspiration o kaalaman ay isang proutist o ang kanyang mga idea ay nanggagaling sa Prout, yung tinatawag na progressive utilization theory. Bakit nga ba progressive? Ano bang progressive? Sa Prout, ang progressive, ibig sabihin ay yung towards spirituality. Okay? Hindi siya pendulum na pag may progress, may development, may masisira. Kasi ang progress ay wala sa physical o sa mental. Sa physical, maraming development. Pero, nag-iimbento ng maraming mga bagay-bagay na nakakasakit sa ating mundo. At kung sa mind naman, maraming mga invention, ngunit marami ring mga invention na nakakasira at maraming mga tinatawag na lunatic. So, hindi siya progress. Development lang siya. Parang nga siyang pendulum. May development and then may equal side effect. Pag sinabi mong progress, ibig sabihin nun, progressive, yun ay walang side effect. Ay ka nga. So, yun ang progress, no? At saka yung utilization, paggamit. Ang utilization ay para rin siyang exploitation, kasi ang exploitation means to use Ang utilization means also to use. So what is the difference? Bakit hindi siya progressive exploitation theory? So, sa exploitation, nakabase yun sa selfish pleasure, yung pagiging makasarili, ang pagiging ganid mo para lang sa yung kaligayahan. Ang utilization naman ay yung tamang paggamit ng mga bagay-bagay. Ginagamit mo siya, ngunit para sa kapakanan at kaligayahan at kaunlaran ng lahat, hindi lang sa sarili mo. Kaya yun ang difference ng progressive utilization theory, hindi siya exploitation. So ngayon, may bisita po tayo. Ito pa ay nanggagaling sa Proud Central Committee sa Copenhagen. Isa rin po siyang monk, no? Na kung tawagin ay
Namaskar, Acharya Dhaneshananda Abudut from Copenhagen, Denmark. Proud is the progressive utilization theory propounded by Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar in 1959. It is the first socio-economic theory that takes into account the entire human potential, including the mental and spiritual, while analyzing a socio-economic path for the benefit of both the individual and the society. Proud have some principle, 5 fundamental principles of Proud, and those principles are very important, and those principles are the main things. The first principle is no individual should be allowed to accumulate any physical wealth without the clear permission or approval of the collective body. The second one is there should be maximum utilization and rational distribution of all mundane, supramundane, and spiritual potentialities of the universe. The third one, there should be maximum utilization of physical, metaphysical, and spiritual potentialities of unit and collective bodies of human society. There should be a proper adjustment amongst these physical, metaphysical, mundane, supramundane, and spiritual utilization. The fifth one is the method of utilization should vary in accordance with changes in time, space, and person, and the utilization should be of progressive nature. All the things of Proud philosophy is based on this principle, and this principle it should be followed for any things, any decision taken for the Proud in practical field. Without these principles following, Proud is not practical. Proud, this progressive utilization theory has its own approach to solving the problems and to bring about a gradual economic democracy in the world. The economic democracy is the main fundamental things what Proud advocates. So by that economic democracy, all people will be benefited. The world of today, fragmented into so-called nation states, should be reorganized into different socio-economic zones. And these socio-economic zones should be organized. So, criteria for socio-economic zones: same culture and tradition, same economic problems and prospects, and topography, then ethnicity. Development planning. For each socio-economic zone, there should be separate developmental planning. The planning should be done in a decentralized way. Self-sufficiency. The aim of such planning should be make to each and economic zone self-sufficient, either in terms of material wealth or in terms of purchasing capacity. 4 parts of economy: Proud's economy, people's economy, psych economy, commercial economy, and general economy. Normally, we have commercial economy and general economy, but Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar, the propounder of Proud, the two more he included people's economy and psych economy. People's economy. People's economy deals with the essential needs of the people in the general, the production, distribution, making shipping, storage, pricing, sales, freight charges, pro forma costing, and all related activities of such essential needs. Most important potentiality is directly concerned with the guaranteed provision of minimum requirements such as food, clothing, housing, medical treatment, education, transportation, energy, and irrigation water. Continuous improvement in ready availability of those requirements is the key factor of people's economy. Purchasing capacity. The minimum requirements can be assured through guaranteed purchasing capacity, which should be enriched in the Constitution as a fundamental or cardinal value, cardinal human rights. This will give the citizens of the country legal power if their minimum requirements are not met. Hence, the necessity of purchasing capacity will be reinforced by constitutional law. As people's economy will deal minimum requirements and people's subsistence problems, it must take precedence over other parts of the economy. Cooperative industries. People's economy should also be concerned with the development of both private and cooperative industries. Private industry would be limited in size and scope to prevent monopoly production and exploitation, and world would be required to function as a cooperatives. Once they grow too large, cooperative industries are the best means of independently organizing people so that they take collective responsibility for their livelihood. People's economy also includes employment for all, the eradication of mass poverty, the development of rural economy, the phase-wise socialization of land into the hands of those who work physically or intellectually for proper production, practical training program to improve skill, which enables people to find employment in their immediate urban or rural locality. Work placement and the transshipment, loading and unloading of any material, even if they are not economically viable in the short term. It is also concerned with the generation of cheap power and the supply of water, which are essential if people are to control their local economics. Finally, it includes economic decentralization, cooperative and block level planning. While people's economy is concerned primarily with the provision of minimum requirements of life, psychic economy is concerned with the increasing the psychic fabula of the individual and collective mind through appropriate economic activity. People's economy with the main concern of underdeveloped and developing countries. But high economy will again increasing importance in the future once the problem of subsistence and gradually solved. Psych economy will be the major importance in the highly developed and mechanized economy, where people may only work for a few hours a week and have much spare time. Psych economy has two branches. The first branch endeavors to eradicate exploitative and unjust economic practices, behaviors, and structures. It will counter all economic and psych-economic exploitations and make people aware of how capitalists, in their singular or collective roles, exploit society and create unhealthy artificial demands which not only poison the mind but encourage dangerous habits, decentralized, detrimental to psychic sanity and expansion. The first and foremost duty of psychic economics to wage a tireless fight against all degenerating and dehumanizing economic trends in society. The second branch of psychic economy develops and enhances the psychic fabula of individual and collective minds This branch is virtually unknown, but it will become the extremely important branch of economy in the future. It will ensure equilibrium and equipoise in all levels of economy. It will find a new and creative solution of economic problems to nurture the maximum utilization, of psychic and spiritual potentialities. Psych economics will add to the daring glamour of economics. This part of economics is concerned with the development of scientific, efficient method of production and distribution, which will not incur loss and where output exceed input. The aim of commercial economy is to ensure the maximum utilization and rational distribution of all resources for the benefit of all. Though some of the development has occurred in both commercial and general economy, there is scope for much greater development. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Dada Janeshananda, for sharing your video with us, and we are very happy to learn something about the introduction or basic principles of Prout. Thank you very much. I hope that we can meet someday or you can come in the actual live Sunrise Festival. Ang next po na video ay isang proyekto na kung saan ay gustong patunayan na yung mga ideas ng Prout ay hindi utopia. Hindi lang ito isang panaginip na hindi maging makatotohanan dito sa balat ng lupa. So itong project na ito ay tinatawag na The Oroquita Project. Prout Coco Cooperative. Isa po ito siyang kooperatiba doon sa Oroqueta sa isang barangay o bayan doon sa Mindanao sa may Cagayan de Oro na kung saan ay naglunsad ng proyektong livelihood at kooperatiba ang mga Proutista. Okay? So pakinggan po natin at panoorin ang video ng Prout Coco Cooperative na pinangungunahan ni Yogesh and Dada Dharma Dewananda. Let us watch po.
Namaskar. My name is Yogesh, and I'm here in Oroquieta City on the island of Mindanao. It's a city of 80,000 people, and more than half of the people are under the poverty line. It's a beautiful place, but most people are really struggling economically. Some of the reasons for that is that people have so much loans at very bad interest rates. They have very fertile lands where they can grow almost anything, but they're not being paid properly for their produce. And they're not processing it into final products. Rather, they're selling it just raw to the cities and they're letting other people make the money off of it. What we're doing here is we're assisting the local people in setting up a Proutistic cooperative, a production cooperative where members own a share and they get a share of the profits. A cooperative that prioritizes the people, the planet, and the profits in that order. So this production cooperative should take the local raw materials, do the value adding here, process it into nice packaged, high-quality products that can be sold locally, nationally, and internationally, and allow the local people to make that extra money. We're doing this by setting up decentralized production units. We have 6 production units in different barangays where people can work close to home, rather than send their family members to the cities or to other countries, and offering higher than average wages. So the coconuts are processed in our barangay units and then shipped by tricycle to our central unit where we do the packaging and the labeling and the quality control. We also have marketing and administration, and this is where we ship everything out. We are pre-approved for FDA so that our products can be sold in the supermarkets, it can be sold in the malls, it can be shipped to other countries and exported as well. So what are we doing? We're creating all natural, healthy, vegan products with no additives and no preservatives. and we're letting the members have a share of the profits. We don't care so much about having big profits. The big value of this is to give high quality employment to people close to their homes.
I am Juna Jipiro, living in one of the barangays in Urqueta City. I am a mother of 8 children. Before working with Orococo, our source of income is making charcoal. Making charcoal is very hard work. When we make charcoal, my family and I were live in the woods for 2 weeks. We make a tent. As my husband prepare the works, I am the one who take care of our children and prepare for our foods. During this time, we have loan for our food. By the time that we can sell our charcoal, we have to pay our loan. And the money that we have doesn't enough to pay our loan, so we start it all over again with another loan. When I heard that there's a training to make a product which come from coconut, I volunteered myself to participate. We worked to perfect the products for 3 months without salaries. When we're finally able to sell our products, we are so happy that we can pay ourselves salary. I hope many people will buy our products so that we can give more employment to our people in our barangay. Thank you very much!
Namaskar. I'm Kedarnath, the youngest Margi in Oroqueta City and also one of the board of director of the cooperative. I am 19 years old and also I am a student. I started when I saw Dada and Yogesh walking in the plaza. Then after a day, I joined their conference about Proud and the project. So suddenly, I really appreciated the idea. So after that, I voluntarily helped Yogesh and Dada go to the barangays, and also I learned meditation. It's very, very, very powerful, and we're doing our best. I'm doing also my best to move forward to be successful, because we know that this project, like a autistic way, it's a very, very big impact, especially when we get all the resources and distribute it properly. That's why we're very thankful that Dada and Yogesh are teaching us the Autistic way. We're also having Proud Circle, teaching the members about Proud, and they really, really appreciated how important it is. So thank you, and namaskar.
Now, next you'll see a promo video that we have done that shows a bit of how we do the processing, where it's coming from, and the people like that. After that, you will hear from Dara Dharma Vedananda. Thank you very much.
Nagikan sa kanindot nga Oroqueta, dala mga produktong gikan sa lubi nga nagmumnag kabag-uhan. Gihatag sa Orococo nga usa ka kooperatiba ang tibok porsyento sa ginansya o surplus para sa kalambuan ug kaayuhan sa mga komunidad. Dili lang tanan natural, kahimsog ug produktong vegan nga gikan sa lubi ang atong nakuha, kundi nakatabang kita sa gatusan nga mga taga-barangay nga makapahawas gikan sa kalisod nga kahimtang sa kinabuhi ug atong nabatyagan nga naay kwarta sa lubi.
Ang atong coconut dako gyud dinhi halapad sa Oroqueta, no, naatay 8,036 hectares of coconut. And then karon gyud nga sitwasyon sa giingon na barato kayo ang kupras, compare pud sa atong kupra nga dili pud siya competitive, mo nang hinggo into value adding kita. So nagsugod ta sa unong ka barangay nga atong gikuan.
Kadaghanan sa mga produktong lubi kay gipanghimo sa mga pabrika. Apan ang Orococo nagmugnag lokal nga sentro sa produksyon sa matag barangay nga magahatag og dekalidad nga trabaho paduol ras mga tawo ug ilang matag balay. Alang niini, dili na kinahanglan mo abroad pa ang ilang mga bana ug mga anak aron makalikom og salapi.
Ako si Merlin Banawa, nagpuyo sa Binuangan, Oroqueta City. Dako kay kog pasalamat sa Orococo Binuangan Processing Unit kay tungod niini natagaan kog oportunidad mo trabaho nga dili nako kinahanglan pang moadto sa sentro.
Ang mga hilaw nga materyales gipalit gikan sa lokal nga gagmayng tag-iya sa yuta. Giani sa mga lokal nga tawo o giinisyal pagproseso sa matag barangay. Nilambigit sa tibuok pamilya sa makahuluganon nga trabaho. Amo dayong gisala, gilutog utro, o gikontrol ang kalidad sa matag produkto sa among sentro nga FDA approved nga pasilidad aron ang labing kataas nga kalidad ang maungnaa sa inyong mga botilya.
Ako si Yogesh, usa ka konsultant sa Orococo. Matag adlaw kami manganta ug magmeditate sa pulo nga babanam kewalam nga nagpasabot og gugma sa tanan. Kini maoy naghimo sa among mga empleyado nga layo sa kapitos ug kagool. Ug kini nagadungag og gugma sa among produkto.
Ang Orococo kay pinauyon sa socio-economic theory o PROUT, Progressive Utilization Theory, nga mao ang tanan bahin sa lokal nga pagpaningkamot sa kaugalingon o paghatag gahom sa lokal nga mga tawo.
Jason Almonte, former mayor sa siyudad sa Oroqueta, usa ka supporter and organizer sa Orococo project. Miabot ang panahon nga limitado na ang kita sa lubi, ang kupras dili na makasustain sa usa ka pamilya. So nangita og pamaagi nga daghan pa kayong maayong produkto nga mahimo sa mga lubi. Pero ang maong project gimugna dili lang usa ka pamilya ang makabenepisyo kundi komunidad.
We made sure nga ang business plan sa maong proyekto 100% of its profit must go back to the community. Mao na ang pinaka-importante nga aspeto ani nga programa.
From the moment that we started our work in Oroqueta, the target has been to enable the poor to collectively raise themselves out of their poverty. And when we have got to the point that many are so benefiting, then we will offer to apply the same principles in other cities and create a multi-city model. Namaskar. It was about 10 years ago that we started trying to make any kind of a model PROUT project in universities, among farmers, among artists, then among general people. That was in Manila, that was in Iloilo, that was in Cebu, and many efforts failed, but at the same time, every effort was a learning experience until finally the cosmic mind was satisfied that enough efforts had been made, sincerity had been demonstrated, and it brought us in contact with some political figures from the city of Oroqueta, a city of 80,000 people in Mindanao. They became interested in PROUT. The entire elected officials, the main elected officials, the main unelected officials experienced a workshop about PROUT. They became enthusiastic, and then we started working. And where 50% of that population is suffering from poverty, so we started making organic backyard gardens. And step by step, more than 1,000 gardens were created. People were able to get food they needed. People had some extra food left over, vegetables left over that they could sell. And therefore the city constructed a marketplace for organic products just next to the main marketplace. All of this was done in the full cognizance that it was a PROUT project guided by Ananda Marga. And people became interested in meditation, people became interested in the PROUT ideology, and they learned these things, and it was very good. But still, we didn't feel that we had impacted the poverty sufficiently. So then we applied Proutistic analytics to understand what would be the most potential resource there, which had not been tapped, and it was coconuts. With over 8,000 hectares of coconut trees, so many things led on, and now it led on to the Manila Coconut House, where we met with the leaders or the owners of that place, and yes, they agreed to teach our people, and we learned many very good products, and therefore the cosmic mind leading from one thing to another, now we have a dynamic and growing cooperative. We've gone through so many legal hurdles, many obstacles along the way. Of course, it always happens with any really noble project. But we can expect that if we continue as we're going, it is just a matter of some months before we have a good number of members, a good number of employees who are all motivated in a decentralized way. They're participating in the decision making. It is truly a proudest economic, and then it will become truly a proudest economic model, an impressive one. And then there are cities already interested, but we are waiting until we can really show them something good, and then it will start to spread in other cities. Now, like this, we need maximum models, not only here in Maharlika, which is commonly called Philippines, but we need them all over the world, so that people who are learning about Prout all over the world through the ideological efforts of the many hundreds of sincere volunteers we have around the world who are propagating the ideas, but we need to show the models also. And this will convince so many good people that Prout is important and necessary, a very important key to bringing about the kind of change that we require in this world, that we desperately require, that the suffering humanity and the suffering world of nature requires. And it depends on you. Do you have a strong enough desire to make these things happen? Are you ready to work for it? Because if so, the cosmic mind will help you and we will succeed. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Wow, that is real. And I heard that there are so many who get inspired with this video because now they can see something tangible. It's just not like water flowing from your hands. No, it is something concrete. It is something real that the people are really benefiting from the concept of Prout. And I hope that this project is going to expand more and more, as you are also planning to do that. Not only here in Maharlika, but of course, the pilot project is in Maharlika and then throughout the world. Thank you very much for this very inspiring video. Ang susunod po nating tagapagsalita ay lagi din siyang laman ng Sunrise Festival at mas kilalang Dr. Catherine Digia. Siya po yung better half ng ating national artist na si Kidlat Tahimik. Siya po ay isang psychologist, anthropologist na of course nakabase sa Baguio City na mayroon na ding mga 30 years dito sa Maharlika. So pakinggan po natin si Dr. Catherine Digia.
Hello everyone from the Sunrise Festival. I love the Sunrise Festival, and my talk today, I'm here in Baguio, and my talk today will be on Kapwa, on the Filipino Kapwa culture. And how did I, as a German, get to talk about Filipino topic like that? It is because my husband is Filipino. He's a national artist, Kidlat Tahimik, national artist for film. And I'm here since 40 years in the Philippines we have 3 wonderful children, and they're all artists. They all became artists, and their wives are also artists, and we have 4 grandchildren that we really love. And this is the beginning of my journey here in the Philippines. Started in Munich, Germany, where I met my husband. And he kind of was a very friendly person. Everybody liked him, but I got the sense that he wasn't fully understood by anyone. Even me, I could kind of sense there was something about him. He could connect to everybody, he connected to everybody, he fit in any environment, but most people didn't really understand him, and I couldn't figure out why. So we all just enjoyed his company. He was always smiling, friendly, helpful, and yet people in Germany, they're a little bit on the mental side. He sat through discussions, through our endless discussions, and didn't really say so much, but if you asked him, he also had his viewpoint, of course. So Kidlat Tahimik became my friend, my partner, father of our children, and I followed him to the Philippines. First time I came to the Philippines in 1974, and later on in 1979, I moved here for good. We had already 2 children by then, 2 boys. And I slowly began to understand through immersion the difference, what made him different, there were more people like him in the Philippines. In fact, there was a whole lot of people like him in the Philippines, and our artists friends were very similar, and little by little I got deeper into understanding the Kapwa culture, something that I couldn't really trace. I couldn't call it Kapwa at that time. It was just people were open, they shared, artists shared their studio ideas, they were very open, not protective of their works or their techniques, or even sharing the precious imported materials that they had. They gave away papers or special pens and inks and so forth. So I was really kind of seeing there was actually a lot of people. This friendliness was like a cultural trade. And I was, when my youngest son, we have 3 sons, when our youngest son was just 4 years old, I went back to study psychology. I'm a fine art graduate, and I wanted to do something more with my life than being a mom. So I started to study psychology, and 1 year into my psychology studies here at UP in Baguio, I had a teacher who explained about the Philippine social core concept, Kapwa. So what was that? So she said, it is the self in the other. It's a concept that makes a great leveler, that makes you and me and everybody around us just people. Nobody's really different. We are all human beings, and therefore we can relate to each other in a very civil and friendly way. And bingo, that was what I suddenly understood. This is what I was looking for. This is what he had, what Kidlat Tahimik had. This is what our artist friends showed. This is what the culture around me that took me in with open arms, even if I had taller and blonde and stood out like a sore thumb and didn't know how to behave very often when everybody showers you with friendliness and with gifts and shares their food and shares even their beds. When you go to sleep in some relative's house, then they vacated their bed for you. And for a German, that was highly unusual, because as a German, your guests sleep on the couch. They don't sleep in your bed, you know. So suddenly, this word Kapwa became like a key to all these things that I didn't understand before, I couldn't place in the Philippine culture. Anyway, I took the next bus and went down to UP Diliman to a lecture of the writer of this essay, Kapwa, the self in the other, a core concept in Filipino psychology. And this is how my journey into Filipino psychology started. I met the professor, Dr. Virgilio Enriquez. This was in the early 80s, no? Or middle 80s. And the strange thing is, when I sat in this master class that he had for graduating students, I came early from the bus from Baguio to Manila. Then I went to UP Diliman, and arrived early, and I kind of sat on the wall in the back near the door. But I listened, and at that time my Tagalog comprehension parang mahina talaga. Pero intindi ako, parang intindi ako lahat, sabi yung professor. Tapos yung isip ko, sabi niya, hindi na intindi mo, you don't understand this. Hindi alam mo, hindi marunong mo Tagalog. And yet, I understood it. So there was this dialogue going on in me. Hey, how come I understand this? So I pumunta ko sa prof after the class. Tapos tanong ako, ay, anong sabi mo? Ganon, 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 ganon. And then he, as if this was most natural, he just said, yes, and answered me in English. In fact, it's like this, like this, like this, like this, and just totally confirmed what happened to me, that I understood. I understood his lecture, and this was not just Psikolohiyang Filipino for beginners, but this was Psikolohiyang Filipino for graduating students. So, sabi ko, kung ganon, I'm brave enough as an artist to study with him. And then this was the beginning of my doctoral studies with Dr. Villa Enriquez. And what I learned, kasi sabi niya, it's not enough if you make any studies just among graduate students, among college students, among school children or so forth. You have to go and really research in the mountain, by the sea. You have to go out into the bundok. You have to go out to find for your research something more than just a questionnaire. So he had this whole, his ideas were revolutionizing the whole university. Of course, there was a great upset. You couldn't use methods like kwento-kwentuhan or tanong-tanong, just going around asking people like for research, not just making kwento. And this would take too much time, and it wouldn't be precise, you couldn't measure it, blah, 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 blah. But I did it anyway. I went to the mountains and the sea. I traveled the whole Philippines for my dissertational research among artists. And then I wrote a book which is called Kapwa, the Self in the Other. Now let me explain what this is all about. Dr. Enriquez says Kapwa is the core concept of Filipino psychology, and it makes people equal. Tao lang. You cannot treat anyone, if you really, under the concept of Kapwa, you can't treat somebody as a superior, talking down, as a boss talking down, as a shop owner not being concerned or for your workers. So he explained that this is a very Filipino tradition, and that even before slaves, for example, when Filipinos still had slaves in the 15th, 16th centuries and earlier, they could not just sell their slaves. There are many documents that say slaves had rights, had human rights, and you could not just treat anyone different because you were in a higher standing. And this is a threat that goes through the whole of Filipino psychology. You cannot treat any other person based on their material status, whether they are rich or poor, whether they are young or old. Everybody is just a human being. And Kapwa, the great leveler, makes this human being precious and makes you responsible for the well-being of this other human being. And so it is a beautiful culture in a way that you have here in the Philippines. And even if today, due to miseducation, you all know Constantino's miseducation of the Filipino, it came from first Spain and then America. Even despite this miseducation, the Kapwa culture is still very much alive in the Philippines. And of course, some people also then point to EDSA revolution and other social movements that could even how the war against against the Spanish soldiers were won, and almost also against the American soldier, if there wasn't an international deal taking away the freedom of the young Philippine country. So it is an ability, a natural ability to join, to get together, to share information, to share resources, to share synergy. If there's, like for example, if there's a typhoon here and there's really disaster, you have seen this so often and everybody sees this, even the world has commented on it, international journalism has commented on it, how fast Filipinos get up and how fast they help each other and how fast they mobilize. Even the Lola somewhere still gives her half pack of milk for the children who have lost their house, even if she doesn't have anything. So it's this natural sharing and giving, and that is the Kapwa culture. And many Filipinos today forget what a beautiful culture it is really, that you have the privilege to be Filipino, and everybody today measures just richness just in terms of coins. And what does it do? That just makes concrete houses, more traffic. Richness in terms of coin doesn't do anything, but richness in terms of heart, in terms of giving, in terms of being creative and being just loving people, that is really all what really makes you happy and what you need, no? And of course, there's the spiritual aspect of the Filipino Kapwa culture, and I don't want to get into this whole system. Enriquez made a whole system of like a personality structure, Pagkataong Filipino. You can find this in the internet. Many people have written about it. I just want to quickly tell you my experiences with this Kapwa culture. For example, if you drive in a bus, beside you sits somebody and eats peanuts, and then before they eat the peanut, then they give you a short look, and then they offer you peanuts, and you're a total stranger. What's this? I was really surprised, and of course in the beginning I didn't know how to behave, so I ate the other peanuts until I learned it's a gesture, and you usually don't grab the peanuts and ubus the other person's snack pack. But of course this was a little bit in the beginning how to learn, how I learned about the Philippine culture. But basically, so there's the food sharing, there's the room sharing, there's the information sharing, but there's also like a general helpfulness, not that people just are matipon, no? Parang kung we had here in Baguio the art festivals, Baguio art festivals, that's noon pa. Pero yung festivals noon, yung festivals namin, walang pera. Talaga zero budget festivals. Pero we did it anyway. Yung contribution ng community, contribution ng artist. Kung may kotse na invite sila, okay, sige, hatid ako yung damit mo. Kung walang kotse, lakad na lang, 3 tao na carry this whatever stuff, no? So it's making things happen. And here we have in the mountain province still all the indigenous people. And for example, if there's a typhoon, they don't wait until the government comes and gives them funds. No, they go and get together as a community and then repair the road just with their own muscles and their own strengths, and getting the stones, or at the best truckload of stones, and they are finished before the government even starts to take inventory is what was kaput. And in a way, this is also how my husband made his films. He never had budgets. He had a camera. He had his immediate family as actors and the people in the street and friends, and that's how he made his films. He never had budgets. I think there were 2 out of how many films that he made that had budgets, and he made it anyway, and he was teaching others how to do the same thing. He called this the cup of gas filmmaking, saying, if you want to make a film, don't wait for a script or somebody approving your budget. You look, how much money do you have? What do you have? Ah, yeah, you have a camera. Your mother has a smartphone. Your friend has like a little tape recorder. So go. You have an idea. Go and make that film. And that's how he basically made films since 40 years. And maybe because of this ingenuity, na doon na siya, national artist. Kasi talaga Pinoy ang daan niya. Talaga iba, iba, hindi na Western style, scripted and approved and money and budget and actors. And to me, this is, you can do this in a Kapwa culture because you have this system, this people who collaborate with you. It's more difficult if you're in the West, in an individualistic culture where all the doors are closed and you have to knock. Like in my country, if I go to visit somebody, even my own brother, I have to tell them 1 week ahead, okay, I'm coming there in 14 days and at this and that time, and you have to be there at the time. I think it's similar in the States, except among the Filipino communities. And so it is a very precious culture. And I was, of course, then after many years of living with this beautiful Filipino Kapwa culture, I was curious how come, why are Filipinos Kapwa people? And then I eventually, through a lot of research, I came across a theory by Stephen Oppenheimer. It's called Eden in the East. And he is a Oxford professor, geneticist. But he said, basically, a doctor, medical doctor. But what he basically says is that what we call today Western civilization was imported from the East, from the Austronesian sailors, and was like they were advanced. They invented not only boat technology, sailing technology, but also most likely smelting technologies, most likely planting technologies, and irrigation. Irrigation you can still see here in the north, all these beautiful rice terraces. They have them also in the Visayas. Panay Bukidnon have rice terraces. I don't know if in Mindanao there are also rice terraces, but the rice terraces are all over Asia, and they are an engineering ingenuity that was developed many thousands of years ago, and possibly exported to the Middle East and then these. So I asked myself, how come then that this system didn't work out in the West? It worked in the East for hundreds and thousands of years among the Nusantao. The Nusantao are the Austronesian sailors, and they sailed from Madagascar all the way to South America, to the Americas, and had an immense and tremendous sea empire, which was never really recognized because it was no landmass. It's like that empires are only measured in landmass. But there was another difference. Now, empire is usually associated with kings and with slaves and with rulers and with top-down pyramids. Now, at the bottom, the people working, at the top, a king or a ruler who consumes it and has it all. And this system was definitely not Austronesian. That's what I learned later, and if you're interested, please check out Paul Kekai Manansala's The Quest of the Dragon and Bird Clan. Paul Kekai Manansala. He's a scholar who was as curious about this as me, and he really traces how the communal culture really came from the seafaring people. It was practiced here. People went from island to island and traded and exchanged and shared, and they walked up when they landed in river deltas. They walked up into the mountains and shared, but it was never, it was sharing. It was a Kapwa culture. And so I was kind of curious about this, no? And found out, and this is, you have one speaker, Grace Odal, and she wrote an essay about this, that actually the Kapwa culture had, if I talk of Kapwa, the self in the other, there's also something like the Kapwa, the self, the shared self with all. No, it is something like, it's not just with the human beings, but it is also, the sharing happened before in animist cultures, also with stones, with rivers, with trees, with plants, with the spirits. No? And the Philippine culture originally is an animist culture. There are ancestor spirits that guide you. There are spirits living in trees, and you know all Joey Ayala's tabi-tabi po. Kung pasok, if you pass a tree, a palete tree or another special tree, you talk to the tree and you ask permission. And that is a respect for nature that is like the precursory culture to the Kapwa culture. The Kapwa culture, the self in all, where I'm caring among human beings or for human beings, is the older culture, is where I as individual cared for everyone around me, for the plants, for the animals, for other people, for the mountains, for the rivers. Everything was somehow my brother and my sister. And this is what you have, cultures still, a lot of indigenous cultures around the world still have this. This is the ancestral root, no? This is where people still were embedded in nature, and this is why this Kapwa concept is so important. Not just that I can go along with other people, but also that I respect nature, that I respect other beings, you know. And so I would strongly recommend you check out on your own what you can find about your Kapwa culture, the Kapwa, the self in all, and the Kapwa, the self in the other. The self in all, according to Grace Odal, it comes from the word Kapwa Kapuang, like where the river where people live along the river, meets the shore. The shore is the opening to something much bigger, where the sweet water mixes with the salty water, and where the big journey begins to another island. And there's another concept that always fascinated me in the Filipino society. Kung alis dito ang tao, sabi ni, mabuhay. Kung pumunta, kung balik ka, mabuhay. That was the old way of greeting, and it basically says, I wish you life. I greet life in you. I respect life in you. And if you really think it's something so beautiful, and that is Kapwa, the self in all, and this is what happened where the sweet water meets the salty water. There's like an entrance into a bigger dimension, into a great spiritual dimension. You are never sure whether you reach the next island, and the whole community sends you off and says, I wish you life, and until you come back again. And then on the great journey to the next island, and the next and the next and the next, people were actually then guided by the stars. So if you start your journey going to the next island and the next and the next, you're actually guided by the stars, and you're guided by that inner trust that somehow the water, the fishes around you, the clouds, the sky, that everybody will help you. And this is the deeper aspect of the Kapwa culture, this deep trust in life. So, mabuhay, and thank you very much.
Thank you po, Dr. Digia, sa pag-join mo dito again sa Sunrise Festival. And we always hope na nandyan ka palagi para lalong nagiging mas makulay itong ating mga ginagawa for arts, music, and culture. Ngayon ay susundan ito ng isang patriotic song din, entitled Maharlika ang Manggagawa by Dinis Regalia of Pampanga.
Ilang beses pa ba dapat na marinig upang malaman na ang iyong pinagmulan? Ilang aklat pa ba dapat matunghayan? Tanging nais mo malaman ang tama at totoo. Ikaw ay naglakbay sa ibayong lupain. Pagsapit ng gabi, kayakap mo'y mga bituin. Pag-ikot ng araw, anino mo'y nariyan pa rin. Umasa't naghihintay sa langit, nakatanaw sa gitna ng unos. Wala kang masilungan sa init ng araw. Ikaw ay lumalaban. Huwag mawala ng pag-asa, ihakbang mga paa. Tagumpay mararating kung ating nanaisin. Huwag ka nang mag ikaw ay naglakbay sa ibayong lupain. Pagsapit ng gabi, kayakap mo'y mga bituin. Pag-ikot ng araw, anino mo'y nariyan pa rin. Umasa at naghihintay sa langit, nakatanaw sa gitna ng mundo. Paligid mo'y tumilim sa init ng araw, ikaw ay lumalaban. Huwag mawala ng pag-asa, ihakbang mga paa. Tagumpay mararating kung ating nanaisin. Huwag ka nang mag-alinlangan, ikaw ako, tayo ay lahing Maharlika. Sa bayan ay tapat kung maglingkod at magmahal. May puri at dangal at ibuhay iaalay kung kailangan. Makamtan lang hangad na kalayaan.
So yun po ang mga awiting Maharlika para sa ating overseas Maharlikan workers. Sa pagkaalam ko, itong si Dennis ay nagtrabaho din noon sa abroad, doon sa Middle East. Kaya live na live ang kanyang damdamin sa pagkanta. At ang susunod po natin ay opening ceremony ng visual art exhibit. And our curators ay si Ginoong Terry Flores at Ginoong Florence Cinco. Tingnan po natin yung mga artwork ng ating mga Maharlikans nationwide. Piling-pili po ang mga artworks na ito na ini-exhibit natin ngayon dito sa Sunrise Festival. So yun po, walang kasing ganda ang mga artwork ng mga Maharlikans. At saka yung unang-una, yan po ay kay Nick Latoha, na based sa Tacloban. Si Nick po, siya ang presidente ng Waray Tupong. Ang Waray Tupong ay isang people's organization na nakabase sa Samar. At nung nakaraan ay pumasyal kami dyan dahil si Nick ay nag-organize ng isang fundraising art exhibit para naman doon sa Maharlika Daycare sa Pampanga. So, maraming salamat Nick, in particular sa suporta sa ating mga IPs at sa ating Maharlika Daycare sa Purak. Ang susunod po ay isang tribute sa ating yumaong kapatid. Siya po ay si Rafi Kapuno ng Kalinga, Cordillera. Actually, nakapasyal po kami sa Kalinga. Kasama namin yung kanyang kabiyak na si Ate Jo Kapuno. Doon po kami nag-stay sa kanilang bahay at nakipag-dialogue doon sa mga elders natin. At marami po kaming magagandang eksperyensya sa pag-emerge namin doon sa community, sa nation ng Kalinga. Pero dapat yung malaman na si Brother Rafi Kapuno ay taga Bicol. Ngunit siya ay in love doon sa Kalinga. Kaya kung hindi nyo alam na taga Bicol siya, ang nakikita nyo sa kanya, physical, mental, and spirit, ay isa siyang Kalinga.
Sika ako kabunyahan, ikaw ay istulaan. Diyos ang kakunangwas ng biyaan. Kulit, di kulilipahan. Kulit, di kulipanan. Kulit, di kulipanan. Sika ako kabunyahan, ikaw ay istulaan. Diyos ang kakunangwas ng biyaan. Kulit, di kulilipahan. Kulit, di kulipanan. Kulit, di kulipanan.
Ang susunod po ay isang photo exhibit by Felix Goles. Napakaganda mga fotografiya na to, kaya dapat nyo talagang tingnan. Actually, I asked him to tell something about his photography, pero sabi niya yung mga photos niya ay it is based on his intuition. So, okay po, let us watch the photography. Yun ang mga creative photos. Talagang pinagtiyagaan at buhay na buhay ang mga larawan na ito. No, so yun pala ang ibig sabihin ng impressional photography. Kailang humihinga yung mga portrait ni Felix. So ang susunod po natin ay isang solo performer na aawit ng For the Times They Are A-Changing. Very famous po ang kanta na ito at aawitin ito ni Pablito Araneta. Siya po ang presidente ng Hubon Kami Incorporated or Hubon Kami sa mga musikerong Ilonggo. Pakinggan po natin si Sir Pablito Araneta.
Ngayong adlaw sa tanan, I would like to do two songs from Bob Dylan. One is about change, and the other is about getting old. So now I'm change. Come gather around, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, so you better start swimming or you're sinking like a stone. For the times, they are changing. Come writers and critics who prophesy with your pens, keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. And there's no telling who that is naming. For the loser now will be later to win. For the times, they are changing. Come senators, congressmen, heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has told. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times, they are changing. Mothers and fathers, chew out the land. Don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand. For the times, they are changing. The light is through, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be past, as the present now will later be past. The older is rapidly fading, as the first one now will later be last. For the times, they are changing. For the times, they are changing.
Yung kanta na po to ay nag-hits talaga ito. Sa palagay ko, ito yung kay Bob Dylan. No? Matagal na yun, pero napanood ko to sa isang cinema, yung Nunux, or parang anti-nuclear protest. Ito po yung kinakanta doon. So, ang susunod po natin, na magpe-perform ay taga Bacolod pa rin. At walang iba ay si Mel Araneta and Joshua Pajarillo ng Bacolod City. thank you. Halos andyan ka rin sa lahat ng mga Sunrise Festival, pati na dito sa Cyber World. Hindi ka nawawala. So, next time, dapat andyan ka pa rin. Thank you. Okay po, ang susunod nating performer ay from Cebu City. At ang kanyang presentation ay ang Bandela.
Ang ating bandila ng mga Pilipino, Pilipinas, bayan ko. Pagising sa umaga, huwag kalimutan umiti. Iting pasalamat sa Diyos, huwag lamang kamalim. Sundin mo na lang ang katotohanan at tamang tungkulin. Sundin mo na lang, o kaibigan, at dapat ganyan. Kahit na ano pang sabihin nila, saludo ka lang. Ang ating bandila ng mga Pilipino, Pilipinas, bayan ko. Ang ating presidente, kamusta naman ang biyahe? Mahal na mahal ng Pilipinas na bayan.
Kami ay nakatira sa tuktok ng Cebu City. Musyagit ng kusog na murag walay pagkit. Kitang-kita ko mula dito ang pag-ilusan ng mga tao. Halos walang magkain at parang naniibago. Alam nyo bang lahat na tayong mga Pinoy hindi gusto sumuko at mabang tuloy-tuloy sa panahon ngayon at mga pangyayari. Pandemya, pera at malaking gera dun sa Marawi. Tayo na ang sumira, tayo pa rin ang gagawa. Sabay-sabay nating itayo ang bandera ng
Ang
bansa.
ating bandila ng mga Pilipino, Pilipinas, bayan ko. Ang ating presidente, kamusta naman ang biyahe? Mahal na mahal ng Pilipinas na bayan ko.
Sumayaw sa ulan.
Maraming salamat, Marvin Barrera Abiabi ng Cebu City, sa pag-join mo dito sa 17th MAHARLIKA Online Sunrise Festival. Thank you po. Ang susunod po natin na magpe-perform ay awit ng Bayanika by Rudy De Los Santos o kilalang Daloy Maharlika. Pakinggan po natin si Daloy.
Sa ating sarili ang lahat ng kasagutan sa mga tanong na lagi na lang iniiwasan. Nasa ating mga kamay ang ating kapalaran. Nasa ating pagsisikap ang pag-asa ng ating inang bayan. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka bang talaga? Handa ka bang ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa? tunay na revolusyon ay nagsisimula sa sarili. Baguhin na natin ang ating masasamang mga ugali. Palitan ito ng kabutihan ng ating buong budhi. At ang buong bayan natin ay magiging tunay na maluwalhati. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ngang talaga. Handa ka ngang ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ngang tunay. Handa ka ngang ialay ang iyong buong buhay. Tumama, manalo sa larong ito. Ipakita sa mundo ang galing ng Pilipino. Halina, labanan ng pagsubok ng mundo. Hawak natin ng apoy, armas sa pagbabago. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka na talaga. Handa ka na ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ng tunay. Handa ka nang ialay ang iyong buong buhay. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka nang talaga.
Yan ang ibig sabihin pala, Daloy, na ang tunay na revolusyon ay nagsisimula sa sarili. Change yourself and change the society. Kasi paano mo nga naman mabago ang lipunan kung hindi mo nga kayang baguhin ang sarili mo? Di ba? Tama? So, tama yung kanta mo, bro. Ipagpatuloy mo yan. At sana ay dumami pa kayo na umaawit ng mga ganito. Ang susunod dito ay parang aakma din doon sa kanta na Bayani Ka, dahil ito ay ang tinatawag na Maharlika, a Revolutionary Force, by Professor Early Argunza. Dati siyang professor sa UP, na isang sociologist and anthropologist. University of the Philippines, Diliman, Quezon City. Maharlika, a Revolutionary Force.
Hi, hello, good afternoon, pleasant good afternoon. Solidarity greetings to all fellow Maharlika on the holding of the Sunrise Festival. And so I bring to you a very fit message for this occasion. Okay? So whether we are at the time of crisis like the COVID or normal time, we need to have to proceed with the advocacy of the Maharlika, which is in fact what I'm going to say and defend, that Maharlika is a revolutionary movement by itself. It is a movement for change. Okay? I am Earl Argonza, and I'm a sociologist and economist who was for a long time connected with the University of the Philippines in Manila. As a professor there. And also I did some academic works for the Consolacion and certain think tanks. Okay? I'm also a spiritual master, being a Mahatma in the Brotherhood of Light. I am a guru, messenger, and healer by vocations in the spiritual hierarchy. And I am an advocate of Maharlika, as practically all of us spiritual masters that embodied in the Philippines. Okay? And I will be talking about that maybe in another piece later, in another film. Okay? I was political advisor to Gat Eddie Larde in the year 2000. to 2001, approximately 6 months or so. And that was when I aided the honorable legislator to shore up the Maharlika movement that at the time was on the doldrums. Okay? And so that is the little contribution that I can do in the holding of a Congress. So based on my recommendations then as a pro bono consultant. Okay? So to begin with, so what does Maharlika mean? It is from here, or from there, from the word Maharlika that we can deduce that the Maharlika advocacy or movement is by itself revolutionary, okay? With a revolutionary purpose for change. Maharlika stems from the words Maharlika. Okay, so those are 4 syllables, okay? And I am among the social scientists who contend that our language today, this is now polysyllabic, was rooted in monosyllabic language in the very ancient times. So from monosyllables, modern language evolved into polysyllable. Okay? And so to get to the meaning of Maharlika, I have to simply to break down Maharlika into the 4 syllables Maharlika. Okay? So Ma is the maternal element in the word Maharlika. So it is the feminine side, referring of course to the mother, the nurturing element in the nation. Okay? Har, on the other hand, is the life force. Okay, Har or Ha, okay, H-A-J or H-A-H is the life force. So if you put together Ma and Har, Har becomes more or less the masculine side to the word Mahar. Okay, if we have to conjoin them, so that Mahar then is masculine, is feminine and masculine together. It's like the yang and the yin, or yin and yang together. So it is complete, total, and holistic in itself. Okay. So Mahar or Maha then means great. So it's something that is big, and again it's complete and holistic. Okay. So the words Li and Ka, to be able to get to the meaning of this, let's get to the local words. Li, as in lipat, okay, lingon, refers to a movement for a transfer of a place, or transfer in space or in time. Okay, so when you say lingon, like lilingon ka, okay, or lipat means to move to another place. Okay, so Maharli, a great force for change. Okay, now how about Ka? So Ka, when you place the word Ka at the end of a polysyllable like Maharlika or Halika, it sounds more with a change that is in the manner of a revolution. Okay, a revolution, which you would find in the swastika. Okay, Zva, Asti, and Ka. So it is a change that is revolutionary, which means to say that it is drastic and discontinuous. Okay? And so Maharlika means a great force for change. That is the sense that I get from the meaning of the word Maharlika, although it has some other meanings, like for instance in the legal juridical meaning, Maharlika was the name of the kingdom here before the advent of Hispanization. Okay? And then in a mystical esoteric manner, Maharlika derives its inspiration from the ancient continent of Maharloka Mu, or Maharloka Mu, the continent of the supercontinent of Mu, or Mu. Okay? And that continent already submerged as land masses change with the massive changes that the earth underwent. Okay, it's up to you to look at which meaning is important. So, but for me, Maharlika itself is very, very important, and it has a mantric significance. If we could join the linguistic with the esoteric and mystical, the word Maharlika itself is a mantra. And in fact, that you can recite it like Maharlika, and it has a good effect on you. Okay? You will find Ma in Om Mani Padme Hum. You see that? So it has a purifying effect because the mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum is for the purification of our diverse centers or chakras. Okay? The different purposes are conjoined in that mantra, and so the Maharlika is an inspirational mantra itself for change, even if the change could mean on the level of the individual or on the level of the collective, on the level of the nation itself. Okay? So now speaking of change, just exactly what is this change? We begin change, of course, with change of the worldview. That is the beginning of the change. And tumultuous changes are now undergoing, and there's a clash of worldviews happening in the world today. So that is where we begin with the change. Change in the worldview, which then would lead to change in our values. Okay? Value change. So value would be the shared premium or the shared valuation of a people of certain actions or behavior or certain perceptions. Okay? And it was on the basis of this kind of change that the late Master Sarkar conceived of a moral evolution or moral change. Meaning to say it begins with, it is rooted in value changes, in our moral values. Okay? So if we put together the change in the world and the change in values, we now have what we call a paradigm change. Okay? And that's very, very important. So these changes then in the paradigm, change in the paradigm or in the worldview and the values, can then lead to our changes in our collective judgment, a change in our judgment. Okay? So our perception of matters would now be inspired by some higher values to change our judgments about matters. So we shift, for instance, some very, very sensate and materialistic to a highly spiritual and wisdom and love-oriented matters, and also a love, compassionate, reason kind of matter, to form a new reality. And this will now affect or impact on our economy and our political systems and governance. Okay? And so it is up to you to conjure or to borrow whatever economic doctrines you wish, or even political doctrines, for as long as we are united in our perception that Maharlika is an advocacy for change. Okay? That advocacy for change means that we have to change the name of this country for the better. Because I believe that Maharlika is far more powerful and far more divine inspired than the word Philip or Philippines, which is also powerful and kingly, but which, as you see, connotes or denotes conquest and imperialistic pursuits. And it's very, very dangerous for a developing country like us that will someday become rich and powerful to have a name that connotes or denotes imperialistic pursuits. So it has to be from the very start delisay na pangalan. And that is why Maharlika is very, very much better than the name Philippines. And the sooner that we can change the name, the better for all of us. Okay? Maraming salamat and good luck to all of you. And may we all have a happy, joyful celebration of Sunrise Festival. Maharlika, Maharlika, Maharlikang araw sa inyo lahat. Amen.
Kaya pala siya naging revolutionary force dahil doon sa sound, kaya nga, the word has a power. It can change. You know, gusto ko magkwento yung first yogi na pumunta sa West. So, yung yogi na yun, yung first yogi na pumunta sa West, nagbigay ng lecture doon sa World Religion Forum or Religious Forum. So, doon sa lecture niya, sinabi niya na the word can change your mind. Amongst those participants, may nag-react. Sabi niya, I cannot believe that only a word can change my mind. So, nung nagsalita siya ng ganyan, sabi sa kanya, ng yogi, then you are a fool and a stupid. Biglang nagalit. Ba't mo ako tinawag na fool and stupid? Hindi mo ba alam na ako ang nag-organize itong World Religious Forum na to? Galit na galit siya. Pero relax lang yung yogi. So, after nang medyo humupa na yung anger niya, tinanong siya ng yogi ngayon. So now, do you believe that the word can change your mind? Sinabi ko lang na fool and stupid ka. Bigla kang nag-react. So that means to say, a good or a bad word can really affect our personality, our way of thinking, and feelings. So, yun po ang ibig sabihin kung bakit Maharlika is a revolutionary force. Because Maharlika will not only change our mind, our attitude, but it will also change our economy as well. And of course, the minds of our leaders.
17th Maharlika Online Sunrise Festival. November 27, 28, 29, 2020. Hosted by Raymond Bagatsing, Maharlika Ambassador. Maharlika, the pre-colonial name of the Philippines.
We would like to give our sincerest respect to thank and acknowledge the following government agencies, private sectors, and entities who have given their continuous positive support for this event to happen even during the pandemic, and made it possible via digital online broadcast programming. Thank you and God bless us all.